More now on the Biden presidency. As we've reported, among his first official acts as president, Joe Biden signed executive orders beginning the work on immigration reform. He halted deportations for 100 days as he reviews the process. He also eliminated the ban on travel from some majority Muslim countries and ordered construction of the border wall to cease. But his biggest move is the U.S. Citizenship Act, which would offer a pathway for citizenship to 11 million undocumented residents currently in the country. It would allow them to apply for temporary legal status. After 5 years, they could apply for a green card, and then 3 years after that, they could apply for U.S. citizenship.
Now, the bill would also allow dreamers and those in the country under temporary protective status to apply for green cards immediately and for citizenship in 3 years. They would also be required to pass a background check and pay any back taxes they might owe. The bill also increases funding for border security and increases aid to Central American countries. CBS 4's Jim DeFede spoke to the executive director of the Florida Immigrant Coalition about the timing of immigration reform.
Absolutely. It's time to turn the page on not just the last 4 years, but a couple decades of criminalizing American workers, Florida families. And so we really need to see this light at the end of the tunnel. Absolutely. Last night, many Floridian families slept with a little bit of hope in their heart. Hoping that they could finally come out of the shadows.
But this bill is controversial from a Republican standpoint because of what they see as blanket amnesty for nearly 11 million people. How would you address that issue, that they're concerned that basically you're rewarding bad behavior?
I think that no matter what gets introduced, it's going to be framed as amnesty. And the reality is the vast number of Americans and voters, poll after poll, show that they want a pathway in an orderly way to recognize that our economies and our communities are bettered by immigrants and immigration.
Rick Scott put out a statement. He has come out strongly against the legislation, and this is a quote from him. He describes it as a radical immigration agenda of amnesty and open borders. What would you say to Senator Scott?
The status quo hurts us. It hurts our public safety. It hurts our national security. It hurts. The status quo right now does not serve us, and it comes at a very high moral and financial cost. We need to support American families to prosper, to be as productive as they can be, to come out of the shadows, to be able to get a driver's license and a work permit, to contribute and create and grow the economy. So they offer no solutions, Jim. No response. They want to deport dreamers and have been deporting dreamers. They don't care that they're exploiting farm workers, working from day up to sundown, providing an essential service, which is our food. And food is a national security issue. The ability to have local food is important for our communities.
Critics also make the case that given the hard economic times we're in, with so many Americans out of work, that creating this legislation, which would essentially have non-citizens competing for jobs that Americans could potentially do, and that in the midst of a COVID crisis and an economic crisis where you have almost 11 million Americans out of work, the priority should be finding jobs for those Americans, not for clearing a pathway to citizenship for folks who are in this country without documentation.
The people who say that don't know how the economy functions and how it works, and they're using a scarcity mentality, and I would say some of them a xenophobic mentality around it. 500 economists, Nobel laureates signed on a letter to say that immigration grows the economy and provides more opportunities. Immigrants are 3 times more likely to be entrepreneurs. Many of the TPS holders have been here for decades. The DACA professionals are employing other people. So a fabric of our community, both from a law enforcement, from a democracy, from a social cohesion, and from an economic perspective, we want people to be as productive as they can be.
You can see more of Jim's interview this Sunday morning at 8:30 on Facing South Florida, right here on CBS 4.